Okay, so who wants cheap horsepower? um, so if you click on the link, you're probably wondering how you can make, uh, you know, 20, 25 horsepower for free. You can't really, but you can get basically the feel of 20 to 25 extra horsepower for free, um, along with better handling, better braking, just an all around more performant car. How do you do that? So most people, I think the most important number for cars, most people focus on horsepower, but I think the most important number for cars, there's two really, for the performance of a car all around. One is power to weight, or weight to power, however you view that, whichever way, which is the amount of weight you're trying to push with that horsepower. Most people try to affect that number by just adding more power, and at the other side, which we're going to go into depth here, lowering weight. So there's two ways to affect that number. Both obviously greatly affect the car, power and weight. The other one is once you get down lower in weight, or cars that just start this way from the factory, is weight distribution. So that doesn't really affect you much if you're just drag racing, but it will affect you more in the in on the track. Just the way your car kind of handles understeer, oversteer, things of that sort. Subarus, which we're going to be talking about mostly today. I mean, this applies to all cars, but the in depth I'm going to be going into is for Subarus. They're in terms of weight distribution, pretty front weight bias. So most of the WRXs, STIs, you're looking at high 50s in the front. So about 58% of the weight is in the front, and then 42% is in the rear. Even though they're all-wheel drive, a lot of that weight just stays up front. While we are going to be talking about removing weight, I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of it is from the rear, actually. So we kind of exacerbate that issue a little bit. Can you put weight back? Yes. But if you ask anyone if they'd have a more distributed car or a lighter car, obviously you want a lighter car that's perfectly distributed, but a lighter car is the better way to go, just to be all performant, and then you can worry about the distribution, maybe putting weight back if it feels a little bit weird for you, kind of go from there. Power to weight is the biggest thing. So the first thing would be, I came up with like a number. I looked at cars that I wanted to be in the vicinity with. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to put a little bit of money into it to accomplish certain things, but my goal was around 7 pounds for 1 horsepower. So I mean, that's a pretty lofty goal. Like that would be, but then in perspective, that's like a Hellcat is like 6.2 pounds per horsepower. Those are heavy boats, but they have a lot of power, right? So just to put it in that range, I'm not trying to go that fast, but I mean, something that would be pretty quick acceleration wise, but also you again is handling and braking very well. So right now my car is sitting at about 7.7 pounds per horsepower. So maybe a little bit lower. I did remove some stuff recently, but we're going to go into depth about the stuff that I've done. Most of it being free, some of it costing money, and that's up to you. A lot of mods that you can do to up your horsepower also lower your weight. And most people, if you're clicking on this, have probably already done like an exhaust for a Subaru or something like that. The stock exhaust is very heavy, for example, and removing stuff like that. So we'll go into depth on that. And the reason I gave those numbers for 20 to 25 horsepower is because it's said that 100 pounds lost, 100 pounds shed, is the equivalent to the feel of gaining 10 horsepower. And that's in a straight line, right? So it can also, depending on where you lose it, depending on how much weight you actually lose, that's also going to help your car just to be more agile in general, and not just in a straight line. So I made a list up here as well. We'll kind of walk around the car and kind of go from there, so we can see what I'm talking about. We'll start at the front and then kind of work our way back. I'm not going to go over taking everything out and showing it, but the first thing would be the bumper beam. So if I'm starting at the lower front, Subarus come with a bumper beam to hold the bumper on and for crash assistance if you were going to get into an accident. Is this mod for everyone? No, but the JDM models do come with a lighter bumper beam. And I don't know if it's in Japan, they just have less accidents. But they come. You can actually order them from the factory. So this is again a 93 to 01 Impreza for all intents and purposes. It's definitely not a stock one. It's STI swapped with a version 8 STI. So basically a 05 STI from Japan. But that JDM bumper beam can save you a good bit of weight. We're talking 20, 25 pounds up front. First thing to look into. That costs money though. So that may be something that you do or don't want to do. That's also, you can just remove it, but then adhering the bumper is another thing, and that may not be the best thing for a daily driver. The one thing that is more free on the front that's kind of hanging right here is what would go in front of the radiator here, right? That's the condenser. So the AC condenser, the AC as a whole, all the AC lines, those right there will cut you about 25 pounds off the front of the car. Not everyone can do that. I know everyone isn't. You can pick and choose which ones I'm saying here and kind of go from there. Maybe you live in a hot climate and you can't do, the air conditioning. You don't want to take that out. But all this stuff is, again, I'm going for the most part very cheap or free, and then I'll go into the items that you can pay for. Free items that you can go back. Either do it rather quickly, or even if it takes a longer time, you can always put it back to stock if you'd like. Again, we'll go with, while we're up front here, other stuff. A lightweight battery, that is some people's cup of tea, some not. This one's 7 pounds. The stock one's 32 pounds or 35, somewhere around there. So it's about a 25 pound loss. Again, that costs money though, and you may not want to do it. I leave mine on a charger all the time when I'm not driving, just in case. I've never had it die on me or anything like that, but I just err on the side of caution. The other thing would be the hood. On my year, at least, we have steel hoods. Again, where the Japanese market really killed it. This hood, I need a new one, just because I want to lighten it. This is 40 pounds. So the Japanese ones are aluminum, and they actually are about 15, 16 pounds, somewhere around there. It's like a 25 pound decrease just off the front of the car, which is where you would really want it. So that's kind of the big ones up front. Big ones. I mean, or you can remove fog lights as well. Those are minor, like, 3 pounds here or there. That's minor. We're just talking about the big stuff to really get you down like a lot of weight. So we'll say you did decide to do, out of all those things I just said, the AC, which is free. Again, you're freeing up a pulley as well. So we'll say 25 pounds is where we're sitting right now. And then we'll kind of move to the rear of the car. The rear of the car, same kind of thing that we discussed before in terms of like free or cheap. So you have the bumper beam as well, right? Bumper beam could be light. If you want, some people actually just remove the rear bumper beam entirely and just hold on the bumper in other ways. I have a JDM bumper beam, which saved me about 26 pounds just off the rear. And then the trunk is actually, this is all plastic, but the trunk is carbon fiber. Not that the trunk was that heavy to begin with, and so is the wing. The wing is carbon fiber, just painted. I'll open up the trunk so you all can see that. But those two items right there are more of costly items, so that's not really a free thing you can do. So we'll see what we can do on the inside of the rear, and that is completely free. Again, spare tire, tools, all the trim removed. You're looking at about 30 pounds, all said, if you remove all that stuff. Some spare tires are bigger than others, so right now we're sitting at about 55 pounds. With just free stuff. Again, this is a Vista Racing carbon fiber trunk, and then the wing, I can't really show you it's carbon fiber because it's painted, but it is carbon fiber. It's pretty light. That's really it for the exterior. You can do other mods that'll cost money, but like I have lightweight wheels. These are like 16 pounds a piece. These are Koenig Hypergrams. And then you worry about tire weight as well. You want good tires. I don't really sacrifice, the tire weight for quality tires. Yeah, these are Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s. So, pretty, not like the most performant tire out there, but pretty high up for a summer, for what you're getting bang for buck. Okay, then we'll go to the interior. This is where you're going to lose a lot of weight, as well. So I'll show that in just a sec. But you can see right here first is passenger seat. Do you need that? Maybe you don't. I had STI seats in here from an 05 STI. Those are 50 pounds with the brackets. So that's that right. What were we sitting at before? We're sitting at 25 plus 30 plus another 50 pounds. We're at 105 right now just for that. And then the back, I just put some felt down, but I removed the entirety of the rear seat speakers and seat belts in the back. All of that combined weight and plus the speakers up front. The holes are there, but all the speakers are gone. So if you remove all of that, that's a good another 50 pounds or so at least. The seat isn't too heavy. Where do I have that stored? It's on the other side it's up there. You can kind of see it. It doesn't look that heavy, but it actually is pretty heavy. So that's the way you can kind of save money there, or save weight. And then you have like a racing seat, which just costs money. That's not, you can do that. You don't have to do that. I like that in terms of the feel of the car. This thing is planted. I'll go on the other side and show it. But you're going to feel the road a whole lot better, especially if you actually don't install sliders or anything like that. I bought sliders but didn't install them. This is just a planted bracket. Like literally the name of the brand is planted, but you can't slide this seat. There's no sliding it. I installed it just for me because I'm the only one driving. And I have a roll bar half cage and a harness coming in. They'll be in the next 2 weeks. But if I try to move this, it actually moves the whole car before it'll move just the seat. If you do that with a stock seat, it's just gonna kind of bounce around a little bit more. So right now you're looking at about 160 pounds. The other minor stuff we can do, we can look over that. But you can see this car right here, as it sits, this car weighs about 2750 with a half a tank of gas right now. It has about 350 wheel horsepower. I think right around like 348 is where it came up, depending on where you look. 348 wheel horsepower. It's running E85 on an EJ207 motor, just a stock turbo. So that's a pretty good ratio. Really good right now. I didn't do the math on that recently, but it's come down a little bit of weight. We can look at what we've done. The last thing would be the half tank of fuel. So, I mean, that's pretty common for most people to have around a half tank of fuel. So most tanks are about 15, 16 gallons. Mine's 15.9. Gas is about 6 pounds per gallon. So, if you run that at 7.5, you're looking at almost exactly 50 pounds. So that would be how you get to the 200 number. But you can look at these things that I have laid out here. I have most of this done. The only other things that I don't have done would be like the hood. And that's pretty much it in this list. But the exhaust will save you 20 pounds. So if you've already done that, check that. You've done that. They'll save you $20. If you go any exhaust turbo back, will save you about 20 pounds. And the coilovers. So most people do coilovers. They're probably, for these cars, it's probably, with the exception of just losing weight, it's probably one of the biggest mods you can do in terms of like just the feel of the car, the handling. Obviously you need to dial in the suspension, but good quality coilovers, tires, and brakes are like one of the first things I would do. It just handles them. Obviously don't just slam it. I mean, I'm not slammed by any means. I have definitely like a 2-finger gap all the way around, but that'll definitely help you out quite a bit. So those things really cost money though. If you have the money for that, like the coilovers are could be upwards of like $2,000. Could get a pretty nice set for about $1,000 or $1,200. They're going to get up there in price. And then rotating mass would be the last thing. I went over lightweight wheels, but a lightweight flywheel I do have, which for the STI transmission, the 6-speed, saved me about 5 pounds. And then you look into like crazy stuff after that, which people have gotten this model, the 93 to 01 Subaru and the 02 to 07 down to around like 2,600 pounds, which is pretty crazy. Granted, it was completely stripped, both, because they're about the same in terms of like what you can get them down to. They both can be pretty light. The GC, or excuse me, this model can get a little bit lighter because it's 2 doors, and just not as, didn't have all the rigidity that the newer ones do. So you can definitely cut down a little bit of weight there. But I mean, lightweight rotors or two-piece rotors that can get real lightweight and kind of go from there. The other thing I'll show in this video is the way I weigh it. So I weigh it in 2 ways. One's I take it to the actual CAT scales, which we have around here, which are like certified trucker scales, if you will. You have to pay like $15, but they'll weigh it within 20 pounds. They'll give you like a 20-pound certificate saying it's within 20 pounds. And the other way, I did it before this way to kind of check. And basically what I do is I jack the car up and I will put these blocks, these 3 underneath 3 of the wheels, and then this underneath 1 wheel. Lower it down on this one last, and the combined weight will be the weight for that corner. And I checked that against the CAT scales when I was done. And just so you know, the way you do this is, these are 2 Amazon scales. You can look these up. They're 550-pound scales. They cost like, I think combined $50 on Amazon. And then that's a 2x6, a 2x6x10, I believe, is what I bought. And then you need to get the right height to compensate. It needs to be this right here. These 2 items right here need to be the exact same height, and that's why I have that extra screwed on top, so it's level all around. And the reason you want to level is so you may still be able to get the weight if it's not level, but it won't show your distribution accurately, right? So my distribution right now is like we talked about, is pretty not the best. I'm more worried about getting the weight down. Then when I take it to autocrossing or track next, I'll kind of feel it out and see where it is. I can feel it right now on the corners, definitely a little bit. The back end wants to come out a little bit more, but mine is around 61% bias to the front and then 39 in the back. So we can definitely add some weight there. Granted, we did, if you saw what I just showed, we took a lot of weight out the back, right? So of the back just lost everything off the rear. So yeah, that's, I'm sorry if I kind of tricked you into clicking this. I feel like it's a good option. My other videos were more like just kind of dogging on people for maybe buying what I thought was the wrong car, which again, it was just about modifying daily drivers basically, and not blowing these things up. That was the kind of the important thing to me, was just not blowing them up. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and you can make a lot of horsepower the right way. It's just not going to last very long. But a lot of people have fun doing that, and to each their own. I just don't think a lot of people have the money to really do this stuff that other people are doing. And I don't expect everyone to have the money to do, EJ207 swaps and, all this kind of crazy crap. I have, like I said in other videos, right now with the roll bar and everything, this is going to be like $21,000 invested into this car. It cost me $400, but I invested $21,000 after that. So that's a lot of money, right? For some people, they can't put $21,000 into a car, like for a toy. Like this is something that I drive like once a week. But, if you're daily driving a car, maybe you can't do all the lightweight things that I described, but maybe you can do some of them. And you'd be surprised, again, looking at the chart, you can pause the video, like how much weight you can save. Just weight will help you out a lot. It will help the car feel a lot faster. And it doesn't degrade the life of the motor at all, right? It's not degrading anything. It's staying exactly the same way it is. So that's a big thing for me. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.